Is India changing its China policy? That's the big question, because after years of restriction, Government of India recently has approved a major big joint venture of an Indian companies with Chinese companies. For years, Chinese companies and its organizations have faced restrictions related to the foreign direct investment, but now it seems that government is willing to ease these restrictions, the curbs that it has imposed. It is trying to loosen it. So it is in this context we have to discuss this particular topic, where a new joint venture is being established. Now, many experts argue that this decision has been taken on the basis of economic necessity, while critics argue that it can also cause some sort of strategic concerns in the India. So first of all, let us look at the background of this entire topic. So we have two companies. One is the Dixon Technologies from the China. Another, as you know, is one of the major mobile producing companies from India, referred as Vivo. Recently, Government of India has opened its door to the Chinese investment and has approved Dixon Vivo joint venture. Now, in this particular joint venture, it is decided that mobile parts, its components, and even the entire mobile set would be manufactured in India as per this particular joint venture. Now, this reflects a shift in the foreign direct investment or FDI policy of government, and it is believed to be guided by a decision to boost the electronic manufacturing in India as such. Balances security and economy. Many experts actually have welcomed this decision, saying that such kind of decision shows a balanced approach where the security interest and concern of India is being balanced with the economic necessity and the economic growth of India. Overall, it will also help in supporting the domestic manufacturing, as India want to become a manufacturing powerhouse in the coming decades. And also, as you know, that by 2047, India has put itself on the path of becoming a Viksit Bharat, that is the developed country, and that cannot be thought of without having a proper well-developed manufacturing base, especially in electronics and electrical sector. Now, let us try to understand that how this particular decision reflects a shift in the Government of India's policy. Now, we know that since 2019, Government of India decided that it would not become part of one of the major trade agreements across the world in the Asian region, referred as RCEP, that is Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, again because of concerns related to China. Same thing we can see in 2020, government then released a press note. In this particular press note, it decided that all the countries which share a land border with India, if they want to have the foreign direct investment in India, if any other Indian companies or organization want to attract FDIs from these countries, then they need a prior approval from the government. Now, this definitely was related to the all border countries, but as we can understand that it targeted China mostly, and it was largely framed, the policy was framed largely considering China in the mind. Now, this entire development, as we can see, was largely driven by the security interest of India, security driven measure we can say. And China, despite all these curbs, we can say that China still has remained a key trade partner of India. How key trade partner? So first of all, in the recent year 2025-26, if you look at the data, it shows that total $131 billion of import we have carried out from the China. It has become one of the largest import source of India if you exclude the oil trade and the gas-based trade that is taking place between Middle East countries and all. So non-oil based, non-gas based trading, in that China has emerged as India's largest source of import. Not only that, even if you look at the trade deficit, half of the non-oil trade deficit is basically with China itself. And to some extent, we can see that supply chain dependency of many industries, many sectors of India still is on China. The best example can be pharmaceutical sector. So trade, despite all these bans and restrictions on the FDI, for example, which was imposed, it has continued to grow. And this is not just 1 year. If you look at the overall from past couple of years also, Chinese export to India is also significantly has been significantly growing. So electronics and machinery, they make the bulk of the share, with total value of about $70 billion, and it has recorded year-on-year increase of roughly 104%. Similarly, chemical products, metals, plastic and rubber, and textile, these are what we are largely importing from China. Similarly, if you look at the Indian export to China, it is also growing, but relatively at a slower rate. So what we export to China, these are the minerals and oils. We have chemical products, then we have the electronics and machinery, metals, and then the fisheries such as Swiss crustaceans and mollusks. They're about $1.2 billion. The highest increase in record has been in the mineral and oil sector as such. So overall, we can understand this is how the trade composition between India and China looks like. Now, as per the recent report of United Nations Trade and Development, it has said that China is one of the major source of FDI across the world. Now, FDI since 2000 has obviously been lesser because of the restrictions imposed by government, and that has just been in the range of about $2.5 billion. And now, if you compare the trade volume of India and China, you would clearly understand that this figure is much more less, much more lower. Approval norms definitely has led to the slowdown in the overall inflow of the Chinese investment to India. It is taking this scenario in the mind, recent policy changes has been made and focus is on the growth of manufacturing sector. Now, before understanding the more detail of this entire development and discussion, I would want to bring your attention to the fact that Legacy IAS Academy, we are going to soon commence batches. The regular weekday batches are going to commence on 3rd of August, 7th of September, then 3rd of November. The weekend batches are going to commence on 8th of August, 10th October, and 12th of December. Now, if you look at the features of these batches, these programs, you focus on comprehensive coverage of all GS paper, that is GS 1 to 4. Also, as we know that just providing information and knowledge in the classroom many times is not enough in the competitive examinations such as UPSC. Thus, we also have made provision for the one-to-one mentorship where students can get their doubts cleared, whether it is subject-related doubts or any general preparation-related doubt. And regular interactions educator also ensures that the students are able to remain on track with the preparation, and also the teachers, educators are able to understand that on where the students are facing the difficulties and all. So daily mains answer writing practice to integrate prelims and mains preparation at the same time, and also to gauge the performances and analysis by the student for understanding the which stage of preparation they are in. Test series for prelims and mains also we have included in that. Now, if you want to know more detail about this course programs and feature, you can give a call to the number being displayed here. Also, you can download our Legacy IAS app, which will play a very important role, valuable role in the preparation of UPSC civil service examination. Now, coming back to this particular topic, if you look generally the global economy, in the global economy, we have seen many of the manufacturing powerhouses, companies, countries, they have switched or shifted to China plus one strategy. That means apart from producing in China, domestically in China, they also are trying to diversify their manufacturing base, and in this case they are trying to find any one country where they can also alternatively manufacture. So in this case, the other alternatives are the countries where the production cost is lower, generally due to the lower labor cost, and the countries here are, for example, you have Vietnam, Thailand, India, Indonesia, and Malaysia. However, general consensus is India was expected to benefit and be the biggest beneficiary of this China plus one strategy, but to some extent it has not come to fruition. What we have seen is that countries, small countries such as Vietnam and Thailand, they have gained much more from the China plus one strategy than India. Manufacturing opportunity that was produced here due to this particular strategy, it seems to have been lost by India, at least in the early year. And the reason behind this is the competitiveness. So India or India's manufacturing sector needs to show much more stronger extent or degree of competitiveness if you want to attract the investment from other countries, other industries, other companies also when they are trying to diversify from China. And this point was well noted in the economic survey of year 23-24. In the survey, it's reported that we need to have either a deeper supply chain integration with the Chinese manufacturing, or we need to encourage more Chinese foreign inflow, foreign direct investment in India. Now, despite these two alternatives, economic survey also has focused that the second should be most viable and the path we should follow. So, strengthening of manufacturing cannot basically will be much more supported if we encourage more and more amount of Chinese FDI. Value addition we can see increasing because of this decision, and overall we can also then become part of an important part of by joining the global value chain. So to some extent, economic survey also has favored loosening or easing the curve that India has imposed on the Chinese FDI. Recent policy measure, as we have seen, FTA approval changes, and due to this approval changes, Dixon and Vivo has now launched their joint venture. Duty waiver on components also is being provided by India now. That means if you are importing components, importing machineries in this sector, then import duty would be waived and would be waived to almost 85% of products that we are importing. Chinese firms are also being selected in the select tenders, and overall it is believed that once India is able to develop its manufacturing base even from the Chinese FDI, it would be able to support the Make in India initiative. Now, question is that why if we are focusing upon Make in India, if we want to become a Viksit Bharat, why Chinese investment matter for us? The reason is simple. There is no denying the fact that China today is the manufacturing powerhouse of the world. It is manufacturing everything that you can think of in the world, as small as a needle to as large as the container ships, cruise ships. So this is the first region. China has the advantage there. China has the core competitiveness in the manufacturing sector as such. Second, it has also emerged as major outward investor due to the excesses in the capital. And also the UNCTAD report highlights that China is not only investing just for the purpose of profit, most of its investment is flowing in the greenfield projects. Greenfield projects means those projects which are being developed from the scratch, which is being developed from the very early beginning itself. Second, Chinese investment is also flowing in sectors such as infrastructure, energy, and this has benefited or is going to benefit developing economies. That is the general consensus as such. But at the same time, because of the relation India and China has, especially in the context of the dispute along the boundary which they share, challenges are going to be there. Security concerns obviously cannot be discounted for when it comes to China and India. The risk of dependency may rise in the future if we allow higher amount of FDI flowing into India, where majority of the critical sectors, for example, if they begin to depend upon the China either for the import of raw material or even for the manufacturing purposes. Protection of critical sector thus becomes quite important. We should not allow FDI now blindly in any sector. We should have a selected sector where Chinese FDI should be allowed. Other sectors should now be more protected, especially critical sector. Securing the technological development becomes a key idea here. And overall, in the long term, if you really want to compete with China, if you really want to attract investment which was earlier flowing from China towards India, the only way out is to strengthen the domestic capability. By doing so, we will be able to enhance and increase our competitiveness, and naturally the companies and industries would flock to those countries, those territory where competitiveness is higher, and that's what should be our way forward. Selective Chinese investment, deepen manufacturing, increasing the value addition, global supply chain integration, obviously, and then at the same time, the particular decision reflect the government of India now is trying to balance security interest with the economic growth. So that's all about this particular video. If you like the video, please like the button, share with the aspirants as a subscribe channel for more such content. Thank you very much.